Hi, it's Sam. I have a bit of a shorter tutorial today for you looking at using buffers that you can reload the sound files when you save and then reload the patch. So you don't have to continuously be loading into the buffers every time you reopen it. The first, simplest approach is to use a playlist tilde object. And with this, you can just drag and drop any sound file into it. And then there are different options for playback that you can look at by looking at the help and reference file. This works pretty well, but you are limited, of course, by the playback options that playlist tilde has. But that could work for your project. Another approach is to use live.drop, which is a bit more flexible because you can drop whatever you want into it, and then you can make it so that it saves with the patch by using pattr. So I'll use a pattr, call it file, attach the middle outlet to the inlet, and then set up a buffer and use the replace message. Now, when I save and then reload my patch, the sound file path will come out of the outlet and then go into the buffer, and I won't have to set this again. If you already know what sound files you want to use in your project, then you can hard code the names using loadmess, which will send out the message that you type in when the patch opens. So say I'm going to use the Eroica file, then I can just use loadmess with the replace into a buffer, and then I won't have to load this buffer with whatever sound file I want to use. This, of course, is limited because you need to know what you want to use in that pattr project. And this will only work if the file is in Max's search path. And I'll leave a link in the description that explains Max's search path from the user manual. If it's not in the search path, so let's say a search path in Max's search path. If it's not in the search path, then you're going to need to provide the full, so not in Max's search path, must provide full absolute file path. So absolute meaning the full address to where that file is. You need to provide the whole thing. So on a Mac, that would start with something like Macintosh HD, and then go all the way to the name of the sound file. So that's another option, but this will only really work on your own computer. If you want to use this on a different computer, then this file path will very most likely not work. So you have another option, which is to use a relative file path. And we can achieve this using the thispatcher object along with the message path. So out of the right outlet of thispatcher, we will get the path to thispatcher. So if I put some sound files in the same folder or in a folder within the same folder as the patch that I'm loaded, then I can find those sound files. So let's say I can use combine to combine these items into one full path to send to the replace message to buffer. So let's say I have the path, and then I have a folder within the same folder as my patch called media. Then I have a sound. I'm going to add a slash because this is going to be within that folder. And let's say I have my sound.mp3. So then I can send this to replace, and I will find that specific sound. So you could do this with multiple buffers if you wanted to find specific sounds that you've saved alongside your patch using this relative file path. And to make it clear what's going on here, we have the path from thispatcher, and then media would be the name of the folder, which would be in the same folder as thispatcher. And then we have the sound file name. So putting these three elements together, we can find a specific sound file. We have another option, which is especially useful if we have multiple sound files, and that's that's polybuffer. Polybuffer. And we give it a name, and then if we use the embed attribute, it will save a reference to the buffers with the patch. Though that's not necessarily important if we are going to use this method, but if you just want to double click while it's locked and then grab a folder into it, then you can just then save it using the embed, and you won't have to worry about creating a path. But it can be useful to have a path so you don't have to worry about if it can find those files or not, especially if you're using it on different computers or something like that. So I can just get rid of the sound file, and now I have a path to the folder, that folder called media, that's in the same folder as my patch. And then I can use the read folder message to read that folder of sound files into polybuffer. This way I've set it up so that when my patch reloads, I can read the entire folder into polybuffer. So these cover some different scenarios for saving and reloading audio files in your patcher. So if you found this useful, please let me know if you have any questions or clarifications. Otherwise, until next time, class is dismissed.